All right, we're going to go ahead with our second talk. So please welcome to the stage, we have Mr. Joshua Emms joining us from the New Mexico Herpetological Study. He is a lifelong New Mexican and has been a reptile enthusiast pretty much his whole life. He has kept an on and off since he was a kid, and he got a bachelor's degree in history, not herpetology, but history from BYU-Hawaii, the lucky bastard, where he spent a lot of time catching non-native herps and snorkeling with sea turtles. He is an Associate Certified Entomologist and works for the Preventive Pest Control. He has been web designing as well as a hobby since he started college in 1996, and in his spare time he enjoys exploring New Mexico with his wife and 4 kids while finding as many herps as possible. So please, let's welcome to the stage Joshua Emms. You should just hit the down area.
Okay.
And if you want to use the laser, sure.
Okay. All righty. Well, as I said, my name is Joshua Emms. I go by Josh or Joshua, whatever you want to call me. Snake guy, I don't care. Our neckties optional? All right. So entitled it, well, it should be herping, not herps. I'm a big procrastinator, and I put this together last night. So, so herps, you may have read that wrong. Oh, keep it away from there. Yeah, well, I think it pointed away. It should be fine. All right, so here we are at Nerd Night. Am I a nerd? I tend to think so. That's what I did in high school, play Magic the Gathering. For all my fellow Magic geeks out there, my first deck contained a Mox Jet. I immediately traded away for a bunch of stuff. But anyway, I love superheroes, Marvel, DC. So excited for the new Superman movie. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. We'll see if it holds up. Airline to Middle Earth. He mentioned that I had a degree in history. As part of my senior research, we went to New Zealand and did historical research on early missionaries in New Zealand. It happened to be on the release date of The Return of the King in theaters. So got to see that in New Zealand. I was geeking out pretty good. And they had some really good cosplay because most of the people there had been extras in the movie. So it was awesome. All right, so here's some of my friends here. That's me with a common snapping turtle. And that's a timber rattlesnake, which was almost the state animal, or the national animal. And that's a water snake. Those guys are notorious for biting, and this one, he didn't want to bite, so I got lucky. He did musk all over me, though. I stunk for days. Okay, so what is herping? Well, herpetofauna are reptiles and amphibians, or we call them herps for short, because that's what we do as people. We shorten things. So herping, it's looking for herps, kind of like fishing is trying to catch fish. I like to do that one too. I like to catch fish too. So just a little background on this story here. If you want to know what would make this guy so excited that he's jumping bushes and everyone's running this way, that's what happens when you're with a bunch of herpers and you're herping and someone yells, "Snake!" And that's what happens afterwards. You find the snake, everyone comes over, everyone's got to look. And we like to photograph them as well. Well, sometimes they get nervous with people being around, so we have to come up with different ways to calm them down, put them under a dish or something like that. And this one, he's still got his rattle hanging out there, but he's going to go in there. Then kind of lift it up, obviously using a hook. We don't want anyone going to the ER, especially in the middle of nowhere, Utah. And that's kind of what you look for, the pictures that you get to take home and share with others and kind of serve as good memories for the times you're out. Okay, so you find reptiles and amphibians. To what lengths? You really can't see in this picture, but that's the Grand Canyon in the background. My wife and I, for her first birthday after we got married, she'd never been to the Grand Canyon, so I said, let's go to the Grand Canyon. So we go to the Grand Canyon, and I had this great idea that I wanted to find a snake and get a picture of a snake with the Grand Canyon in the background. I was so lucky. We only found 2 snakes on that trip, and one happened to be on the rim of the Grand Canyon. And that's a Great Basin gopher snake for anyone who wants to know. And to what lengths? These are all the records I have in the United States of finding reptiles and amphibians. These are just the places I've been. There's others that I have before I stopped keeping track, but part of the nerddom there is I keep track of everything. I have databases I contribute to, a few different ones. So I can track my data. I can see what's active, what time of year, when, where, what kind of weather conditions are. It's a lot of fun. And to what lengths? Obviously, you got my personal finance and you got my herping trips right there. They just got to take care of everything. Vacation. So I take my family on vacation. We go to Snake Road. It's a nice place. It's in southern Illinois. There's these swamps, and then there's these limestone cliffs. And so you go in the fall. They close down the road to vehicular traffic because there's so many snakes going from the swamps into the cliffs to hibernate. So we call it Snake Road. The number one snake that you find there, there's my family there. There's my wife who's sitting in the back there, and our young son, and then the 2 other kids there. I don't know where the other one is. Anyway, right down here is a cottonmouth. These snakes get a lot of bad rap. They are very shy. One of their defenses is when people get too close, they coil up and they lean back and open their mouth, which is white, which is why they get their name, the cottonmouth. And they really have nothing, don't want anything to do with people. Yeah, there we go. All right. So this is like I said, there's a cottonmouth there, and there's me, selfie with the cottonmouth there, and here's one crossing the road. They really don't want anything to do with people. He's just crossing, just trying to get to his hibernation den. This is another place we like to go, and this is a method of finding snakes. They like to get underneath stuff. I'm also into bugs. You got some carpenter ants there with some alates and some larvae. And here's another board we're going to run to right here. All right, and there you got the snake there. That's a New Mexico milk snake. When I first saw one of those in the zoo, I was like, I gotta find one of those in the wild. And I finally did after several years and a lot of work, but I found one. There's my kids getting excited over it. They love it. And this is another one, little garter snake right there. Sometimes they take off, sometimes they hang around. And there's another one. There was 2 under that one, a twofer. And here is a western diamondback rattlesnake. These are real prominent in New Mexico. Lots of fun to find. Again, they're just trying to get away. And this was kind of a fun thing. I was on a Facebook group, and a guy posted a picture of a gecko from here in Albuquerque. And I said, well, there aren't too many of those around here. They're not native here. And so I said, hey, where did you find this? And he told me where, and I went over, and we found it and went there and found a ton of geckos there. And it was really, really cool. And so much so that every year I take groups of people out to do it, and that's how I got roped into this tonight. Nat joined me on a hike about a month or so ago, and We found several geckos out there. It was tons of fun. This one is down in southern New Mexico, and as far as I know, that's the first time it's been documented in this area. So. And we got another snake over here. Yeah, I believe this is a Mojave rattlesnake found down in the boot heel of New Mexico. Very cool snakes. Have a very complicated venom that varies from population to population. Really cool. And I think this is in Arizona. And this is not a snake. This is another gecko. This is a banded gecko. We have them down in the boot heel of New Mexico and kind of over by Carlsbad as well, a different species over there. But these are fun little geckos. They're on the ground. They're terrestrial geckos. They don't climb up walls like the other one we saw earlier. This is at the Petrified National Forest, and it's another lizard. This is a collared lizard. They get real colorful for being out among all this petrified wood. Real pretty animals. And if you do pick them up, they will bite and they will not let go. It is a powerful bite. Not venomous, but they do have pretty strong bite. And that's all I had there. Any questions? Okay, so there's no native geckos to Hawaii either. The geckos we have here in Albuquerque are Mediterranean geckos found around the Mediterranean, but they are probably the most widespread lizard in the world now. They've hitched rides on shipping containers, and they're everywhere now. And they do hibernate. The particular place we find them is along a cinder block wall that's very exposed to the south, so that probably heats up that wall pretty well, keeps them pretty warm during the winter. And I had another question over here. Oh, this is Willie. He is a ball python. Kind of a friend in common. No, I think I met him a time or two. I didn't really know him very well. But he passed away, and this is one that I inherited from him. Uh-huh. The spring is mating season. A lot of it has to do with weather. And you get a lot of moisture in the desert, wildlife stirs. They all know how to use it, and it's great. I mean, there's toads, spadefoot toads. They live down underground most of the year. You don't really see them hardly ever at all. Thunder starts, that first monsoon of the year. Thunder, thunder, thunder. They feel those vibrations, come up out of the ground. They go to where they know these pools form, and they start calling. And it's deafening, these loud choruses. And they go and they breed. They lay their eggs. The tadpoles hatch within the next few days, and they metamorph within a couple weeks. They go back down underground and start the whole cycle again. All adapted to monsoon rainfall. So that was actually in Oregon, and it was a salamander. It was a rough-skinned newt. So I've been bitten by several snakes, nothing venomous. One of the snakes we have here locally is called a coach whip, or some people call them red racers. They're very fast, but one of their main defense is to run. I mean, they just take off. Mostly you just see a streak and they're gone. But if you pick them up, they'll go straight for your face. And I've got a picture somewhere of me with bite marks in my face. Yeah, one got me. As far as, I've never been bit by a venomous snake, no. They're normally found in a pretty temperate climate, so not really warming per se, but we do create heat islands around our houses and stuff, so that there could be some of that. Like I said, they just kind of found a perfect area to possibly hibernate there, but they're in other places around town as well. My friend has found some in Fort Hills, but I think he's pretty sure they're actually hibernating in his garage. So we're kind of keeping that little area warmer for them. But yeah.
Do you have a favorite snake or herp?
It changes from day to day, to week, to month to month. I originally always wanted, the biggest python I could ever find, and quickly realized that's not a good idea. Ended up with a little rosy boa instead, which they only get like 3 or 4 feet long and real pretty. I like those a lot. It just depends on the day.
What do you know about infrared vision in snakes?
So I was gonna say we've got a connection right here. And this snake, I don't know if you can see, but they have heat sensing, not pits per se, like in a pit viper, like a rattlesnake does, but they can see heat. So it is kind of cool that it goes right along with what you were talking about. And they'll use that to, they're mainly nocturnal, so they can hunt at night. They're mainly ambush predators, so they'll just wait. At least the rattlesnakes, they'll wait. They'll wait along trails that rodents take, and they can smell that. They'll wait right along them. A rodent comes by, they'll hit it. They'll strike it, and it'll run off and hide, and then they'll follow the scent trail to it, and be able to see with the infrared exactly where it is and get it. So.
I had a bull snake in my backyard,
Uh-huh.
and I'm curious, like, if I saw one, do they have a range? Like, there's probably 10 I didn't see, or do they, like, have a square mile range? Like, what are the ranges of snakes?
It varies from species to species, and I honestly don't know. I mean, I'll find several on the same night, crossing a road or out walking. We'll see several. It just depends on conditions, what's bringing them up. You may have a lot in the ground, but not all of them are going to be active at the same time. So. I'm sorry. The question is, if you get bit by a rattlesnake, how long do you have to get help? As long as it takes to get to the nearest hospital. Just get there as soon as possible. Every bite is different, and you just never know how people can react differently to snake bites. You can have allergies, different things like that. So we recommend, the only thing that's good is to get to a hospital. That's the only thing.
Tell us about the New Mexico Herpetological Society.
All right, the New Mexico Herpetological Society was founded in 1963, and it was basically for learning about snakes and reptiles and keeping them, but also as what their plights are here in the state of New Mexico. Just different things like that. We get together, we do hikes, we do talks about once a month, and just about various things. We just had a talk on, I can't remember what it was, but it was good. We had one about guy was actually using infrared technology to check what the temperatures were at den sites, what temperatures they were using, and he had infrared cameras set up to do all that. So, salamanders. Okay, so we have 3 species of salamanders in New Mexico. The most common one you're going to find is a tiger salamander. It's kind of a black and a yellow color, and they're going to be like bars, sometimes spots, and you can find them on rainy nights. Salamanders have really wet skin. They really need that moisture, so you're going to find those there. The other 2 we have are endemic only to New Mexico. We have the Jemez Mountain salamander, and it's on the endangered species list. And they are very, very tiny, and you only find them in the Jemez Mountains. And then the Sacramento Mountain salamander, Enetius hardi, they're only found in the Sacramento Mountains and kind of some of the mountains around there as well. And they're cool little salamanders. They're a little easier to find than the Jemez. They're both protected by the state of New Mexico. And tiger salamanders, if you're into fishing, if you buy water dogs, those are tiger salamanders. Those are the larvae of the tiger salamander. A newt is just a type of salamander. Yeah. Yes, I had the one picture up there. I contribute to a couple different databases, the NAHERP and Herp Mapper, and that information is shared with researchers. I know the state of California's research has used some of my records and published stuff based on it and stuff too. So it's really kind of a cool citizen science thing we can do. Another way to do that just as a layperson is to use iNaturalist. And that's what we use when we do the herp walks. We document everything on an iNaturalist, and that's all open to researchers as well.
So we think we have a snake in our yard.
Okay.
How would we go about trying to find it?
Well, it depends on what species. Just look around. If you see it, you see it. Look for tracks, poop. Shed skins, that type of thing. If you have a lot of mice on your property, you might have snakes. All right. Any other questions?
Let's give another round for Josh. Thank you.
And his special guest. If you haven't seen him up close, that is a heckin' cute snake. Like, I didn't know snakes could be cute, but it's literally smiling. It's amazing.